Let me just say this up front. I didn't touch the insulin out of spite. It wasn't some malicious, cartoon villain move where I cackled and shoved it behind the almond milk to watch my roommate suffer. No, I moved it, gently, mind you, to the side. Left shelf. Eye level. 10 inches tops. The fridge wasn't even that full. And now, apparently, I'm public enemy number one. This all started 3 days ago, when I came home from work and found the apartment in full-on meltdown mode. My roommate, Alex, tall, sharp, every bit the type A med student with a god complex he pretends not to be, was pacing the kitchen like someone had stolen his spine. Pale, sweating, muttering something about blood sugar levels, and how could this happen? I asked him if he was okay. Just like that. Calm, curious, supportive roommate energy. He didn't answer at first. Just opened the fridge, scanned its contents like a detective in a crime drama, then turned to me with this look, like I'd just kicked his puppy and set fire to his dreams. Did you move my insulin? Now, before we get into the ethics of fridge etiquette and who owes who what in a shared living space, let me paint you a picture of our kitchen. It's not some sprawling suburban dream with an ice maker and a beer tap. It's a standard-issue city apartment kitchen, narrow, slightly leaning to one side, with a fridge that groans louder than I do on Monday mornings. Every shelf is a game of Tetris. Leftovers, takeout containers, kale that no one eats but no one throws out, and a terrifying jar of pickled something that predates both of us. So yes, I moved the insulin, but only because I was trying to wedge in a lasagna tray that my aunt dropped off. I figured Alex kept it in that little butter compartment door thing anyway. Turns out he didn't. Turns out insulin is a lot more fragile than I thought. Temperature sensitive. Not something you casually relocate like ketchup. You could have killed me, he said. That landed like a punch to the gut. Because I hadn't even considered that. I just moved it over. I didn't throw it in the microwave. I didn't unplug the fridge. I moved it over. But those words, you could have killed me, hung in the air like a storm cloud. I felt a heat crawl up my neck that had nothing to do with guilt and everything to do with what are we even talking about right now? Here's the thing, though. That wasn't even the weirdest part. The weirdest part came after. After the confrontation, after the passive-aggressive text messages, just a reminder. I'm insulin dependent. After I offered to replace the vial, which apparently costs more than my car's battery, I noticed something odd. I opened the fridge the next morning to grab my oat milk, and there, nestled behind the spinach, was another vial of insulin. The same brand, same label, same open date. I'm no pharmacist, but even I can tell you that one guy doesn't need 3 identical vials in the fridge if he's only using one. Unless he's stockpiling or hiding something. Now maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm just feeling defensive. Maybe I moved his meds and now I'm grasping at straws to prove I'm not a monster. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something off here. I don't know. I've lived with Alex for a year and he's always been intense, but this was different. The way he reacted. The way he wouldn't let it go. The way he looked at me like I wasn't just a roommate, but a threat. So here I am, wondering if I am the jerk for touching his insulin. And wondering what else is going on in that fridge. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, Alex's voice echoed in my head. You could have killed me. The phrase had this sticky, echo chamber quality that just wouldn't leave. I kept rolling it around in my brain like a marble in a cup, trying to figure out why it felt so off. Like the words were technically correct but emotionally loaded, like a trap dressed up as a warning. By morning, I'd half convinced myself I was being paranoid. And then Alex started labeling everything. I'm not exaggerating. Everything in the fridge, everything, had a sticky note. Alex's eggs. Alex's almond yogurt. Do not move, Alex's oat milk. Even the ketchup bottle had his name on it, like we were 2 toddlers fighting over crayons. I opened the fridge just to get some air, which says more about my mental state than I'd like to admit. And there it was again. That vial. The third one. Still tucked behind the spinach, still looking out of place. It had no label, no sticky note, no passive-aggressive post-it claiming dominion over it. Just sitting there, silent, unassuming, watching me. Later that day, I knocked on Alex's door. Had to. Things had crossed into weird roommate limbo, and I didn't want to be the guy who avoids conversations just because they're awkward. His door cracked open, but he didn't move to let me in. He looked exhausted. Dark bags under his eyes, hoodie up even though it was 75 outside. Hands stuffed in his pockets like he was trying to keep them from doing something regrettable. Hey, I said. Can we talk? He didn't blink. About the insulin? No. I mean, yeah, but also not really. I scratched the back of my neck. Look, I just want to make sure we're good. That you're okay. You've been acting kind of. Kind of what? He snapped, eyes narrowing. I don't know. Off. Secretive. I hesitated. I saw the other vial. His whole body stiffened like I'd just said a magic word. Or a curse. There's nothing going on, he said, too quickly. Okay. I replied, too slowly. He shut the door. Not slammed. Not even hard. Just final. Like he was closing a chapter 1, didn't even know we were writing. Now, I know I could have dropped it. Chalked it all up to stress. Med school's no joke. He's juggling hospital rotations, exams, sleep deprivation. Maybe he's just spiraling a bit. Who wouldn't? But here's the thing. Alex doesn't spiral. Alex plans. He organizes. He preps for spiraling. He's the guy who sets reminders to remind himself of reminders. So later that night, after he left for a late shift, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked the fridge again. And this time, I opened the spinach container. Don't judge me. Curiosity didn't kill the cat. It just made the cat extremely aware that something was rotting under the broccoli. Inside the spinach tub, wrapped in a napkin like some kind of budget smuggling operation, was a tiny flash drive. One of those slim, silver ones that look like a car key. No insulin. No note. Just a flash drive. Chilling, literally, in the crisper drawer. I took it out, held it in my palm like it was a piece of contraband, and immediately felt that, oh no, I've seen too many movies kind of panic. I didn't plug it in. I didn't even keep it. I just stared at it for a minute, then carefully put it back, napkin and all, exactly where I found it. And now I can't stop thinking about it. Why would Alex hide a flash drive in the fridge? Why the fake meltdown over the insulin? Why the sudden obsession with labeling every single condiment like we were in some kind of pantry Cold War? I don't know what's on that drive, but something tells me it's not recipes. And I'm starting to think this whole insulin thing was just the tip of the iceberg. So here's the thing about having a flash drive in your fridge. You don't just forget about it. You don't open the butter drawer the next day and think, ah, yes, my usual spread, salted, unsalted, and encrypted. Ever since I found that thing in the spinach container, I've been playing detective in the dumbest, most anxious way possible. I've Googled everything from how to open a flash drive without leaving a trace to is it illegal to snoop if your roommate is acting shady but maybe also has diabetes? Turns out, not illegal, just super unethical. But so is hiding computer hardware in your produce drawer. So who's really the villain here? Meanwhile, Alex has gone full ghost. No chit-chat. No passive-aggressive fridge notes. Just this tight, polite silence that somehow feels louder than yelling. He leaves early, comes home late, and slips into his room like he's afraid of being seen. Like I'm the one hiding his secrets. Now, I'm not saying I'm proud of what I did next, but I am saying curiosity is a beast, and I was already halfway down the rabbit hole in fuzzy socks and a hoodie that smelled like overthinking. I waited until Alex was gone, on a Tuesday night shift, which he takes at the campus hospital, and this time, I didn't just open the fridge. I took the drive out. It sat on my desk for a solid 10 minutes while I stared at it like it was a bomb. I even Googled, can flash drives explode, just to be sure. They can't. But let me tell you, search history is forever. Finally, I plugged it into my laptop. Boom. One folder. No password. Just a file titled thesis_data_2023. Boring, right? Except when I opened it, I didn't see spreadsheets or chemical formulas. No graphs. No research. Just video clips. Dozens of them. Unlabeled. All short. 30 seconds to maybe 2 minutes max. The thumbnails were blurry, dark. Mostly indoor shots. Some showed parts of a hospital room. Others looked like security cam footage. A couple had sound. Mostly beeping, the kind you hear from machines that care a little too much about your pulse. And then there was one. I clicked it before I could stop myself. It opened on a timestamp. 3:14 a.m., March 7th. Hospital hallway. Dimly lit. The camera was shaky, handheld, like someone was filming while moving fast. A nurse, couldn't see her face, was pushing a gurney down the corridor. On the bed, a patient, unconscious, for tubes dangling, oxygen mask on, and standing at the end of the hallway, arms crossed. Alex. He wasn't wearing scrubs. He was wearing black jeans and a hoodie. Same one he wears when he's off shift. He didn't look panicked. He looked calm, focused, like he knew exactly what was going on. Then the video cut out. I closed the laptop and just sat there, staring at the screen like it might explain something if I glared hard enough. My brain was doing that thing where it tries to form conclusions without any actual evidence. Was Alex involved in what? Unauthorized patient access? Filming procedures? Something illegal? Or was this just a weird med school project? But why hide it in the fridge, like it was a leftover from Spy School 101? I didn't know. Still don't. But I did know one thing. The insulin wasn't about insulin anymore. The meltdown, the labels, the distance, it wasn't a roommate freakout over a fridge shuffle. It was something else. Maybe I had accidentally uncovered something I wasn't supposed to see. And maybe Alex knew it. Because the next morning, I woke up to find my laptop missing. No note. No broken window. Just gone. And when I opened the fridge, the flash drive was back. Right where I found. Here's a fun little personality test. You wake up and your laptop's gone. No sign of a break-in. No mess. Nothing else touched. Just gone. What do you do? Me? I went full deer in the headlights panic. First thought, I've been robbed. Second thought, only one person would take just the laptop and leave everything else untouched. Third thought, Alex. Now before you roll your eyes and call me paranoid, just think about the timing. I plug in a flash drive that shouldn't be in the fridge, watch a weird video of Alex standing in a hospital hallway at 3 a.m., and suddenly my laptop vanishes like it owes the fridge rent? Nah, too perfect. Too clean. I stood in the middle of our living room for 5 full minutes, just listening. No noise. No Alex. The apartment felt wrong. Still, in that eerie, post-storm kind of way. Like something had happened and the place was pretending nothing did. I didn't call the cops. I wanted to. But the thought of explaining this whole mess, "Hi, officer, I think my roommate, who may or may not be filming secret videos in hospitals, stole my laptop after I found his flash drive in our crisper drawer," felt like asking to be put on a watch list. So instead, I waited. Alex came home around 9 a.m. sharp. Like he timed it. He walked in, dropped his keys in the dish by the door, looked at me sitting on the couch, and get this, smiled. Morning. Like we were just two dudes vibing. No tension. No flash drives. No laptop theft. Morning, I said. Sleep well. He didn't even blink. Barely slept. Long night. I watched him head into the kitchen and open the fridge. He grabbed a protein shake, twisted the cap, took a swig, and leaned on the counter like it was just another Tuesday. Then he said, "You know, it's really important to respect people's privacy, especially when they're trusting you in their space." Boom. No accusation. No specifics. Just a surgical strike to the conscience. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My brain was too busy juggling whether I should play dumb, come clean, or fake a seizure. But before I could say anything, he grabbed his bag and left again. Another shift. Or maybe something else. The second the door shut, I bolted to his room. I know, at this point, I'm basically the world's worst roommate. But this wasn't about fridge politics anymore. This was survival. I needed to know what the hell I was living with. His room was spotless. Too spotless. Desk, clean. Bed, made military style. Closet, organized by color and sleeve length. One drawer locked with a tiny padlock that looked suspiciously new. But you know what caught my attention? The trash can. Inside, buried beneath some crumpled notes and what looked like a crushed protein bar wrapper, was a receipt. From a computer repair shop. Dated yesterday. Timestamp, 11:42 p.m. One item, MacBook Pro, BIOS wipe plus reinstall. Serial number? Mine. I sat down on his bed. Not even panicking anymore. Just hollow. Like the fear had burned through me and left something else behind. Something sharper. So now I knew two things. Alex took my laptop. Alex wiped it clean. Whatever was on that flash drive, whatever I saw, it was serious enough that he felt the need to erase the evidence and gaslight me into thinking nothing happened. But here's the thing about paranoia. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. That night, I barely slept. Every creak in the floorboards felt loaded. Every car passing outside sounded like someone pulling up. And at one point, around 3 a.m., I swear I heard someone in the hallway. Not in the apartment. In the hallway outside. I got up, quiet as I could, padded over to the door and looked through the peephole. There was a man standing there. Not Alex. Not anyone I recognized. Just standing. Not knocking. Not moving. Facing our door. Then, after what felt like hours but was probably 30 seconds, he turned and walked away. Calm. Casual. Like he was just... The guy outside the door didn't knock. Didn't say anything. Just stood there. That haunted, Unmoving stillness, the kind you feel more than see. By the time I worked up the nerve to open the door, he was gone. I checked both ends of the hallway. Nothing but humming fluorescent lights in that eerie middle-of-the-night silence that somehow feels louder than daytime. I barely slept after that. The next morning, I did what any responsible adult would do. I faked a cough, called in sick to work, and spent the day in sweatpants trying to act casual while internally spiraling like a caffeinated squirrel. Around noon, I finally broke. I called my friend Jules, technically my ex, but still the most capable person I know who hasn't blocked my number. "Tell me everything," she said as soon as I mentioned Alex and the flash drive. So I did. All of it. The fridge. The fake meltdown. The laptop vanishing act. The videos. The dude in the hallway. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then, you realize this sounds like you're either being set up or you're in the middle of some weird medical cover-up, right? Yeah, thanks. That clears everything up. But she wasn't joking. Jules is the type who watches 4-hour conspiracy documentaries for fun and fact-checks them with a library card. She asked for the name of the repair shop on the receipt and said she'd call me back. Meanwhile, I needed answers. And there was only one place I hadn't looked. Alex's car. The guy was meticulous, sure, but even meticulous people slip when they're juggling hospital shifts, secret hard drives, and random dudes loitering outside apartment doors. I waited until his shift started, then headed to the underground parking garage. Bingo. His silver Subaru was parked in its usual spot, corner stall, backup camera perfect. I didn't break in. I just looked. The back seat was empty, but the front passenger side? There was a bag. One of those heavy-duty black med school bags with a zipper the length of a baseball bat. Not locked. Not hidden. Inside, notebooks, a tablet, a phone charger, and another flash drive. Not the same one. This one was black, bigger, with a red strip of tape wrapped around the end. No label. I pocketed it before I could overthink. Back at the apartment, I didn't even hesitate. Plugged it in with gloves on, just in case. I'd watched way too many spy shows at this point to trust bare skin. This one was encrypted. Of course it was. But Jules came through 20 minutes later. "I called the repair shop," she said. "Told them I was your girlfriend, and you lost your laptop. They confirmed the BIOS wipe and said your roommate dropped it off. Didn't even try to hide it. So he's not just hiding something," I muttered. "He's daring me to find it." She paused. "You said the videos looked like hospital footage, right?" "Yeah, I think so. Some showed rooms, maybe even patients." "HIPAA violation," she said. "If he recorded anything sensitive without permission, especially while off the clock, he could lose his license. Or worse." That stopped me cold. See, all this time I thought Alex was maybe up to something sketchy. Creepy. Tech-related. I thought maybe he was filming for some shady project or involved in some deeper mystery. But now it clicked. This wasn't just about me moving his insulin. This was about me finding something I wasn't supposed to see. A med student recording patients? Keeping that footage off-grid? It didn't just smell wrong, it reeked. But here's what really got me. If Alex was willing to erase my laptop, plant the flash drive back in the fridge like a warning, and pretend like nothing ever happened, what else was he willing to do? I barely had time to think before the power cut out. The apartment went dead. Lights, Wi-Fi, even the fridge stopped humming. And through the window, I saw a familiar figure walking up the sidewalk. Alex. Earlier than usual. Carrying nothing. Wearing the hoodie. Walking like he didn't expect to. When the lights went out, the silence in the apartment turned dense. You ever notice that? How quiet feels heavier when the power's out. Like the walls are listening? I stood perfectly still, hands flat on the kitchen counter, heart in my throat. Then I heard the key in the lock. Click. Alex was home. But not like usual, not the quiet shuffle of shoes and keys. No rustle of grocery bags. No obligatory, hey. Just that single, sharp click, and then the slow creak of the door swinging open. I backed away from the counter, scanning for anything remotely useful, a frying pan, a chair, literally anything to make me feel less like a target. My hands landed on the fridge door. I gripped the handle, ready to pull it open and pretend I was just stress snacking if he walked in. Because nothing says normal like midnight cheese in a blackout. Then he stepped into the kitchen. The only light came from the hallway, just enough to see the shape of him. Still, calm. But his face, it was different. Not angry. Not suspicious. Just tired. You looked at it, he said quietly. Not a question. I nodded, barely. You weren't supposed to, he continued. I warned you. That wasn't a warning, I said. That was a psychological chess move in the dairy section. He didn't laugh. Just move closer. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, he said. I just need to finish something. Something important. Important like filming patients without permission? I shot back. Or hiding drives in vegetable drawers and wiping my laptop like some amateur hacker? He flinched, just slightly. But enough. You don't understand what I'm trying to do. Then explain it, I said. Now. Alex ran a hand through his hair. His silhouette looked smaller in the dark, like all that med student bravado had finally cracked. I was part of a pilot program, he said. Private research. Off the books. We were supposed to test a new AI diagnostic tool in real time, real patients, real symptoms, real data. No bureaucracy. Just raw, clean testing. And you thought hiding that in the fridge was the best way to store it? I didn't know who I could trust, he said. The company pulled out. The hospital shut it down. But the AI, it works. It was diagnosing things doctors missed. Early-stage cancers. Genetic flags. Stuff we'd never catch otherwise. His voice was speeding up now, hands twitching at his sides. They said it was too risky. That it needed FDA approval. That it was unethical. But if I could just finish collecting data, prove it works, really works, they'd have to listen. I could save people. I stared at him. By recording patients without consent? I anonymized the footage. No names. Just symptoms, vitals, outcomes. And what about the guy standing outside our door at 3 a.m.? He part of your data collection too. That stopped him. You saw him? He asked, voice dropping. Yeah. Who is he? Alex looked away. Someone from the company. I think they've been watching me, making sure I don't release anything. That's why I hid the drive. That's why I needed to know if you'd seen it. And now we were both quiet. Two roommates in the dark, standing next to a fridge full of expired yogurt and corporate espionage. Finally, I said, so what now? Alex stepped back. Now. I leave. Tonight. He pulled something from his pocket, a flash drive. The red-taped one. The encrypted one. This has everything, he said. I'm going to disappear for a while. Off the grid. Finish the analysis. When I'm done, I'll leak it. They can't stop it if it's public. I didn't know what to say. I wasn't sure if I believed him. I wasn't sure if he believed him. He walked past me toward the door. Then paused. Don't forget to move the insulin back, he said with a crooked smile. And just like that, he was gone. Power flicked back on 3 minutes later. I stood there in the kitchen, the hum of the fridge returning like a heartbeat. Later that night, I checked inside. No flash drive. No insulin, either. Just a sticky note on the shelf. Thanks for not being the villain in my story. Hey, I don't know where Alex went. I don't know who's watching who anymore. But every time I open that fridge, I wonder if I was really the one in danger. Or if I was just another data point on someone else's